You're trapped inside an MRI machine, and suddenly it starts malfunctioning. The machine won't stop, you're completely stuck, and every second feels like it could be your last. But here's the terrifying part. Trying to escape the wrong way could make everything even worse. So what would you actually do to survive? You lie still on the table, and somewhere in the walls around you, a magnetic field powerful enough to lift a car is already switched on. An MRI machine's magnet is strong enough to yank a wheelchair across a room in an instant. That's not an exaggeration. That's documented repeatedly in hospital incident reports. Most people assume the danger in an MRI room comes from radiation. It doesn't. Unlike CT scans or X-rays, MRI machines use no ionizing radiation whatsoever. Dr. Emanuel Kanal, a radiologist who has spent decades studying MRI safety incidents, has helped shape national safety guidelines specifically because of how this technology actually works. His research revealed something most patients never expect. The danger isn't the scan itself, it's the magnet that never turns off. Most MRI magnets remain active 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, even when no scan is being performed. Which means the machine is always live, always pulling, whether or not anyone is currently being imaged. So why does that matter so much? Because ferromagnetic objects, anything containing iron or certain steel alloys, can become dangerous projectiles near the machine. A relatively small object, like a pair of scissors, can become lethal at close range if pulled suddenly toward the magnet's core. Which means the real hazard isn't inside the machine, it's anything metal that accidentally enters the room. Here's the part almost nobody expects. Documented incidents include oxygen tanks, floor buffers, and even wheelchairs being pulled into the machine with tremendous force. In one widely studied case, a patient died after an oxygen tank was accidentally brought into the scan room and launched across it.
Which means the most dangerous mistakes in MRI history weren't caused by the technology failing. They were caused by ordinary objects entering a room they should never have entered. Now think about what happens to a person wearing certain implants. Some older pacemakers, cochlear implants, and metal fragments can be seriously affected by strong magnetic fields. Screening questionnaires exist specifically to catch these risks before a patient ever enters the scan room. Which means the safety process for MRI starts long before the scan itself, in a series of questions designed to prevent exactly this kind of danger. Here's where the story gets stranger. MRI facilities use a system of safety zones, with Zone 4 being the scan room itself, restricted to trained personnel only. Even hospital staff who aren't specifically MRI trained are generally kept out of this zone entirely. Which means the room isn't just monitored, it's treated as fundamentally different from every other space in the building. So what happens if something actually goes wrong during a scan? Every MRI room includes an emergency quench button, capable of rapidly shutting down the magnetic field in a true crisis. Quenching releases the machine's liquid helium coolant, which can displace oxygen in the room if ventilation fails. Which means even the emergency shutdown carries its own separate risk, one that facilities specifically design ventilation systems to manage. Here's the part investigators find particularly telling. Most serious MRI accidents share a common root cause: metal objects that weren't supposed to be there in the first place. Improved screening protocols, developed directly in response to past incidents, have significantly reduced these events over time. Which means today's safety procedures exist specifically because of mistakes that happened before people understood exactly how unforgiving the magnet actually is. So could you actually survive getting trapped in a malfunctioning MRI machine? For most patients, following standard screening protocols, the technology itself is remarkably safe. A quiet room, an invisible field, always active. A single overlooked object capable of turning calm into chaos in a fraction of a second. That danger isn't random. It's a predictable, well-documented risk, understood well enough that modern hospitals have built entire systems specifically to prevent it. Magnetic resonance imaging has existed for decades, refining its safety protocols specifically because of the incidents that came before. And maybe that's the real reframe. We think of hospital technology as inherently safe, sanitized, and controlled. But some of medicine's most powerful tools carry invisible forces that never announce themselves, waiting quietly for a single overlooked mistake. The real defense against an MRI's hidden danger was never about the machine at all. It's about everything kept far enough away from it to never find out.